Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hey, so it's Jackie Cation. Welcome to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com. If you like a determiner. Anyway, I'm Jackie Cation. I'm your host of the Dork Forest. And the websites, of course, I just read. How about the credits? The credits are Patrick Brady, going to fix this audio. He's great. Mike Rickberg just sang the theme song that he composed. He sang it with his girlfriend, Sarah. Just Mike, at the end, going to be singing the Mexican hat dance. Lyrics he made up himself. And Vilmos is the guy who does my website. Here's the thing about Vilmos. We get an ad from Vilmos if you want him to do your website. That's this month's ad at the Dork Forest. If you want, you can get a Ranger of the Dork Forest t-shirt, or you can get just a regular The Dork Forest t-shirt designed by Brett Chambers. They're both great. They are on the store page on JackieCation.com. You can also donate to the show if you want to support the show. $100 a year is what I usually look for, but whatever you can afford, obviously. But $100 a year means you're a super fan. Somebody told me that that's what I should ask for. So that's what I'm asking for. So if you enjoy the show and you have $100 a year, you can do $8.33 a month. I have not made that easy for you. But there is a donation button on DorkForest.com and JackieCation.com. And I'm a member of the All Things Comedy Podcast Network. This episode is with Eddie Pepitone, who's also on that network. And it's great. Tom Papa's on that network. Bill Burr, Al Madrigal founded it. They both have podcasts. Other than that, if you order from Amazon, and really, who doesn't? If you go to JackieCation.com, there is a white banner above the trailer for my new special. This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux, which is available for $5 download, by the way, or you can get a DVD or CD on the store page. But there's an Amazon banner on the front page. You can click through to that and order from Amazon by using JackieCation.com as a portal. I get a kickback, and that is one way to support the show as well. I hope you're liking the show. This week in comedy, I am in St. Louis, I think, on the 15th, and then Chicago on the 16th, opening for Maria Bamford. Very glamorous. That's right. And then the week after that, can't remember. But if you go to JackieCation.com and look at my schedule, all kinds of information will be available to you. Let's do the ad. Let's get to the show. It's a good one. Thanks a lot.
It's Vilmos. If you've heard my name before, it's because I've been taking care of Jackie's website since 2010. I talk to people all the time that feel like they're being held hostage by their web guy. They didn't get the site they wanted, then when they want to make a change, they have to wait forever. That's why my web design philosophy is a simple one. It's your site. You should get what you want. I will take your idea and turn it into the site you've always wanted. Then, if you need to make changes, they will be done promptly. Maybe you already have a site that you need to make changes or additions to. I can do that too. It doesn't matter who created your site, I can still work on it. So take the first step towards a positive website experience. Contact me, Vilmos, at hiredguncoding.com.
Hello and welcome to my living room. It's Jackie Cation in the Dork Forest with Eddie Pepitone. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the living room. You're having a dark chocolate with mint.
So good.
So good. It's they have dark promises on the inside where you have to say them in dark, dark voice.
Let's hear it.
Engage, embrace, enjoy. It sounds like a threat is what you're supposed to read it as. It's like a Chinese, what's it called?
You know what these things are? These engage, embrace, enjoy things?
What?
They mean nothing. They do this thing right. They just put words on a thing. It's that new agey type of thing where it's like engage, embrace, enjoy. And if you're really a desperate person, you'll be like, that's what I need to do. Is I need to engage, I need to embrace and enjoy. And then you realize life doesn't work like that. Like you have to deal with it moment by moment.
It gets better, but it also gets worse.
Absolutely.
Remember in high school when they had that ad campaign that said it gets better? Not our high school, but and then it gets worse, and then it gets better again.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's just life.
It's just life.
It's good times. So it's at Eddie Pepitone on Twitter. Are you on the Instagram too and all that nonsense?
I am on Instagram. I think it's Eddie Peppy on Instagram. I'm not a big Instagram guy, but I do it sometimes. But it's at Eddie Pepitone. EddiePepitone.com is my website as well.
You have a new special on Netflix.
I do, In Ruins on Netflix.
That's awesome, where people can just stream and watch it.
Absolutely.
So they should do that, and then they should review it. And here's my review. It's great. There you go. That's what I recommend. You should start like that and say it's great, and then you say whatever you got to say after that. That's
right. And
nice.
I have my own podcast,
right.
Pep Talks with the Bitter Buddha on allthingscomedy.com.
On All Things Comedy, we are both on All Things Comedy.
Oh, I forgot that.
That's right, and it's great. We just recorded an episode of Pep Talks.
That's
here.
right.
And
we're doing a podcast marathon.
Right.
We are going until we solve various crippling diseases and.
Right.
And anger. We're trying to eliminate anger.
It's a marathon, folks. And feel free to call 1-800-ANGER-BLOWS.
Has there ever been a podcast marathon? There must have been.
When podcasts were new back in, I started mine in 2006. So
you're
ground floor.
You're ground floor.
Yeah, but get this. There's no money in that. Okay, so God love him. But here's the thing: is there was who the hell was that had a great? It was it was 24 hours. They did 24 episodes, and every year Never Not Funny does a podcast marathon.
Oh, right.
For the Smile
People
Network.
with mustache?
The Smile Network for cleft palate.
Oh, is that true?
Yes, to make money for cleft palate surgeries in Africa.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool of Jimmy Pardo to do that.
It is very
24 hours he does?
I think so. It does it live at UCB.
That's unreal.
Right. We should both be on it.
It's a Jerry Lewis type of thing?
It's a Jerry Lewis type of thing, because you know how Jimmy Pardo loves a Jerry Lewis type of thing. He's like all those guys. He's like Frank Conniff and Dana Gould, where he's like, I love the golden age, golden age of television.
Yeah.
Merv Griffin. He never told anybody he was gay. And so...
Yeah.
I'm not here to blow your minds, by the way. Merv Griffin was gay. I didn't make that up.
You know what's interesting is that I still don't buy that.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I could care less.
I really don't care. I cannot imagine. I loved him when I was a kid.
Yeah, I used to watch fucking Merv Griffin.
Mike Douglas.
Yeah.
Dick Cavett.
There was something, as a kid, when I look back at watching those guys, what they had was this kind of like likability and this charm, and like I would watch it like going, oh, he's a nice man.
Right.
He seems to be nice.
And with Dick Cavett, it was different because he was palpably the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
Except for when he wasn't.
Right.
And then he was always slightly uncomfortable. Like when, like he'd get these serious smarty fucking magoos on the Dick Cavett show. He'd get like politicians and writers and I remember one of my favorite episodes of the Dick Cavett show was, the senator from Oklahoma, his Native American wife. Who was an advocate for the American Indian movement.
Right.
The Sly from Sly and the Family Stone. And who was the woman? It was like Debbie Reynolds or somebody. It was the weirdest fucking mashup.
Amazing.
And it was awesome. And and Cavett goes, hey, are you going to run for re-election in 72? And the senator goes, I don't know. Probably not. And I looked him up and he didn't. He didn't, or he did, and he lost because he said on national television, I don't know, probably not.
Yeah.
That might have been the reason. But he's a professor of history to this day at the University of Arizona, Phoenix.
Wow.
Weird. And I emailed him and I said, hey, I just saw you on Dick Cavett because I bought those DVDs. Guess what? The Dork Force is going to be about you, Eddie. Why don't I let you talk about your fucking dorkdom instead of me talking about Dick Cavett and how much I can
is that how you do it, the person? Well, dorkdom, my dorkdom,
just a couple of things you like to do in life.
Well, I love hockey. I don't know if anyone on this show has do they talk sports at all?
Well, I had Proops talk about the history of baseball. I had a guy tell me about the history, Patrick, I think it was, talk about the history of the NFL and the different football leagues.
Right.
Nobody's talked hockey. What do you know about hockey?
Well, I mean, the history of it, is not really my forte. I just
current.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a lifelong New York Ranger fan.
Okay.
And
they are the hockey team of New York, the Rangers. Yeah.
Oh, this is not going to be.
No.
The New York Rangers.
This is going to
are
be the
hockey team of New. Well, there are 3 hockey teams in the metro area.
Are there?
Yeah, one is the New York Islanders, and the other one is the New Jersey Devils. That's the metro area. So there's a plethora of New York teams. But anyway, just the reason I brought it up is because I am a hockey dork, meaning I have to know, and I imagine people who are considered dorks in any field, I have to know if they won or not, won or lost that night. And the hockey season is actually starting tonight. So I'm pretty exciting. Yeah, tonight's the first night of the hockey season. And the Rangers went to the finals. We live in Los Angeles. They went to the finals for the first time in 20 years and they lost to the Kings. The LA Kings won it all. And it was an amazing series.
Stanley Cup?
Stanley Cup.
Is that it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And is that it?
And how many games is it? 7 games? Is
that's
it
4 out of 7.
4 out of 7. Okay.
But you have to play. It's a grueling tournament, the Stanley Cup tournament. I always say it's and a lot of people say that it's the hardest championship to win because it's 4 rounds of the best 4 out of 7. You have to win 4 out of 7, then you advance. Then you win that series 4 out of 7, then you advance 4 out of 7, then you go to the finals, and then you have to win that for the championship. So it's 3 preliminary rounds.
So it's 16. It could be 16 games.
Absolutely.
A minimum.
Oh, it could be 7 each round.
Right. Oh my God. And then
that's 20.
Over the course of
you have to win 16.
Right.
You could play as many as 28 more games.
In how many days?
It's pretty much every other day you play, pretty much. You might get a couple more days off than that. So it's grueling, it's intense.
That schedule's insane.
And players grow beard. I don't know if you've seen this trend because, I'm a sports fan in general, but players lately in baseball have been doing this. In football, they don't because you can't. Because it's just such a quick playoff series because the competition is so brutal that they can only keep them on field for three weeks in a row before they die. But people, they grow beards and they because they're supposedly good luck beards. There's all kinds of sports is huge on superstition.
Yeah, they love a lucky hat or a lucky bat. Right, lucky hats and lucky bats is what a friend of mine used to say.
Lucky hats. Yeah, I don't know about lucky hats because they all wear one cap, but the beard they grow. Facial hair. I'm not going to shave until we lose. I'm not going to shave to the end of the playoffs.
Right.
Stuff like that.
So people can really. It depends how quick you grow a beard.
The Red Sox, when they won the World Championship, I think it was last year or the year before, they all looked like they were, in an episode of Naked and Afraid. They all had huge beards. They all look like they have been living in the woods for years. Right. To me, it's kind of like, Jesus Christ. First of all, I don't believe, superstition to me is just such nonsense. I would love to see.
Do you make it fun though? Or do you think it's fun or?
It can be kind of fun to see, and it's funny.
Weird thing they're doing.
Mm-hmm, and it's kind of funny to see the guys who can't grow beards trying to grow beards. They just are perpetually that little nubby, horrible attempt at a beard.
Yes. So Jesus, that's a lot of games. So how many games are in the regular season? Less?
82.
82. Because there's something like 168 baseball games, I think,
162.
Right? 162 baseball games? How many football games are there?
16 before the playoffs.
Just 16?
Yeah, because these guys
are killing one another.
Well, yeah, in the NFL now, the concussions are, people are just walking around writing the wrong checks all the time.
Yeah, Andy stopped watching a couple of years ago. He was like, this actually hurts my heart. And so I can't actually watch football anymore. And I never really did. I care about the Packers
Oh, you're from Wisconsin. Now, those are the biggest football fans. I mean, football fans are insane. I guess sports fans, but pro football fans are just...
They're committed.
Fucking crazy. And the Green Bay fans, there's no more crazier fan base.
Right, which is why...
Because I would imagine there's nothing to do there. I don't know. And it's sort of like Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi. Not that there's nothing to do. That's a mean thing to say. Just that the Packer, where, that's kind of the football where it was hatched in a way.
And it's owned by the community, supposedly.
Right,
and all these things are
right.
happening. But I don't even care, and I know things that I don't need to know. I mean, I was in a bar in South Milwaukee last summer, and people were wearing a husband and wife, a woman I had gone to high school with. I was at my high school reunion, and they were both wearing a jersey that had a name on the back of it, and it wasn't her name. And I said, "Who's that guy? Who's Marshall or whatever?"
Right.
And I can't remember who it was.
Right.
But whatever it was, the entire bar shut down.
What do you mean?
Silence.
Because you didn't know the name of the player.
Because I said, who's that guy? It would be like I had said, who's Aaron Rodgers? But I know who Aaron Rodgers is against my will. So this guy is some sort of receiver or defender guy.
Okay.
And so I said, who is that guy? And the whole bar just silently stared at me. And I said, if you people just tell me, then I'll know.
Wow.
And we don't have to shame me. Because I don't know who the Green Bay Packer guy is.
Right.
But so there's how many hockey games?
I think it's 81 or 82.
And how
for the
many
regular
players
season.
on either side? Well, how many on a team on the ice?
Well, that I'm not too sure of. Let's see. I don't get
over 8?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think it's something like...
Because basketball, it's 5.
I think on your roster you have like about 30 players.
Okay. And you bring in
like
12 on the ice to play against each other?
Well, there's three forwards, a center, left wing, and a right wing, and then there's 2 defensemen, so that's 5, and then there's the goalie, that's 6. So there's 6 players on ice at all times, but and there's usually 3 or 4 lines, so there's about 25 players on the bench.
Okay.
Something like that.
But there's like 6 guys on each team on the ice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then...
competing against each other.
And is it like soccer?
Why I love it is it's fast. I love speed. Like, I love football too, but hockey combines, like, not only, this is such a male hormonal thing, but like, I just love that the competitiveness of it is so intense because the speed of the game is so intense. And there's a skill, hockey combines skill and, brute force, like because it's played at such a high speed because of skating. These guys skate like the wind, and then they hit each other at high speeds. That it's just, to me, the most exciting sport to watch. The way they can crunch each other but still make an amazingly beautiful pass. Like, you have guys like someone I'm sure you've heard of. He's been long retired, but Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, right.
Wayne Gretzky, who is probably him or Gordie Howe is considered the best all-time player ever. Usually Gretzky. Right now, kind of the reigning, supposedly best skilled player, Sidney Crosby of the Penguins. But these guys just do such amazing things at high speeds, yet they also have to they get really hit hard. So to me, it's this amazing, like physical accomplishment, and like to watch it, and it's hilarious because I used to play hockey. I used to play football, but never much contact. Okay. And I'm a guy who vicariously lives through these guys. Okay. Which is really, I think, what sports is about, like the vicarious living through. You're watching these athletes, and you're you kind of really that's a bad word to use, but you project into their fucking bodies, and you're like, you are the star. When I was a kid, and that's a thing that a kid does, and men who haven't grown up like myself, where you still think you're like when they excel, when your team wins or your team scores a great goal, you're like, holy shit. I think why am I so happy about that is I think it's because I feel like I've done it. Right. Without the danger, because I'll never forget, I used to play ice hockey in Staten Island, New York, where I grew up, and I remember one time I took a stick to the mouth and it cut open my lip. It cut open my lip. I probably should have got stitches. I didn't. But I remember it was real cold. It was kind of a snowy day. My lip was split open. I had to go home and go to I don't think I got stitches, like I said, but it was nasty. Right. And who needs that? I'd rather watch these other guys. And these hockey players, you see them get interviewed. They don't have teeth. They're missing several teeth. All of them mostly are missing many teeth. They wear mouth guards, but if they take a puck in the mouth guard.
Because it's going.
Or sticks. Most of them get their teeth knocked out by sticks because they're in such close proximity to each other at such high speeds. A stick will come up. There's a penalty for high sticking. They get sent off the ice, but they lose teeth constantly, and sometimes it's embarrassing. Like you'll see a guy get interviewed right after the game and he hasn't had time to put his teeth in. And it's just like these gaping holes. It looks like the void in my soul is what I'm saying.
But what you've done here for me, though, Eddie Pepitone, is really explain to me the love of sports. Because the sport dorkdom has always been a challenge for me. Because I don't get it, right? I don't know if it's the joy of not knowing really how it's going to end, or if it's just
that's exciting.
Yep, and then intellectually, I know that it's that, and I know that it's watching the people that are best at what they do what they do. And you're just like, no, you project yourself into this situation and you're watching this sort of very primal thing happening.
Yeah.
And on ice, I mean, the fact that I saw Cutting Edge. I think it was The Cutting Edge. It was a romantic comedy about a hockey player and a figure skater. And the hockey player can't play hockey anymore, so he has to learn how to figure skate. Turns out he can. Turns out he's a really good ice skater. But he's still
they're all good ice skaters.
Yeah, they're amazing ice skaters.
They're all great ice skaters. They're amazing because I've skated, I played hockey, but not anywhere near the level that those guys do. Like I was a pickup hockey player, meaning, I picked a lot of guys up playing hockey. No, I just would play when the ice froze. I wasn't in leagues. We just used to play on ponds.
Just pickup games.
Yeah, I was not a league guy.
Okay.
And then when rollerblades came along, I played for a little while on rollerblades.
Oh, wow. Right, because rollerblades would be a way to train in the off season.
Well, you could play on the street. This was kind of fun. I used to play in Manhattan. I used to play in Hell's Kitchen, where two famous players came from, Brian and Joey Mullen. But anyway, and there's something to here it is too about sports. And by the way, and it's so funny because I kind of chastise myself a little about being a sports fan because I'm such a big politically left-wing guy. Yet the thing that doesn't fit into that is sports, because sports really is ultimately such a corporate, it's become so corporate
I was surprised that you did, but I think the visceral response that you had to it.
That's what it is. And also what it's about too. And like, for instance, my wife is not a competitive person. And here's what it is. It's about winning. That's another big element. It's about winning. And I think the lunatic sports fans who get so into these games have a psychological matrix where they haven't really won a lot in life.
Okay.
In their heads. And they need to win. And whether they're winning or not in real life, this is a thing that they can root for unabashedly and go, we need to fucking win. Right. And when the team wins, it's like so great. However, here's the thing about sports.
That's hilarious.
It's about winning. Like that's what keeps you into these games. Like if I didn't care who won or lost these games, they wouldn't be as entertaining. The fact that there's a clear-cut winner, like it would be hilarious to me if they didn't keep score in these games. Wouldn't that be funny? Like who the fuck would care?
Well, soccer has ties.
Yeah, that to me is horrible.
But they count towards stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
But it's like a bigger picture. There's
ties. They actually say ties. They have a phrase for ties is like kissing your sister. You know what I mean? Like it's anyway, it's like it's like about winning, and that's kind of, and I've gotten in touch with this, a kind of sickness.
Okay. Yeah.
It is. I don't want to be melodramatic about it, but it's a kind of sickness to like always have to win. Like your team, and here's the thing too about sports. It's such a manic, depressive, or bipolar thing because your team will win and then it'll lose. You'll be on this high and then you'll get crushed. And then even if they win the whole championship,
Right.
What I always found that's very interesting about it is that your team wins the championship. And it is a nice feeling, but you know what? Then the next season comes along and you have to win again. It never ends. It's a bottomless fucking pit that has to be filled.
That is fascinating because that makes perfect sense because you're like, because it's something, like we're all raised in this world to be, everyone gets an award at the end of grade school. Everyone is, you're supposed to share and everything is, you're supposed to be a decent person all the time. But when you are a Cowboys fan, you get to say, no, I hate the New England Patriots. I want them to die. And there's a justification because it's all very fictional and yet it's so real.
It's regional, like the Yankees and the Red Sox have this, the Boston, New York thing. And that's kind of fun, except when you have the tools, using one of your expressions, tool bags, who take it so seriously that they'll actually punch you in the face. Like it actually gets violent. Certain morons, because alcohol is, that's the thing about sports is that there's too much alcohol.
Right. Once people get liquored up, then they take what they believe.
But I guess that's
to the streets or something, I suppose.
Yeah.
But the hooliganism in Europe.
Unbelievable.
Which is crazy because it's all European football. It's all soccer. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what's happening? Why do you care this much? And they're genuinely like punching each other in the stands. And you're like, you're a 42-year-old accountant. What are you doing hitting that guy who is a pharmacist? And you're just like, why is that a thing?
Especially pharmacists can help you with so many nice products.
Right. You're going to need that guy because you're going to
need that guy.
Yeah. So do they have hockey in other countries besides Canada?
Well, yeah, it's big in the cold weather countries. Just picture that,
Okay, like
it's
Norway
big in Russia.
Oh my gosh,
they're
Russia.
great. You never heard of the famous Russian-Canadian World Championships many years ago with Bobby Clark? Okay, you're really not tuned into hockey.
No. The last hockey match I believe I saw was when the Americans beat the Miracle on Ice. 1982.
Well, that was against Russia.
82.
That was against Russia.
That was against Russia.
So yeah, and they just had the Winter Olympics, and the Canadians won again. Sweden, very big in hockey.
Right.
Norway, the Czechs play it.
And do we field an amazing team, or are they counted as professionals?
We're good. But Canada kicked our ass, and that was crushing. I was really rooting for the U.S. Like, I'm not a big patriotic guy, but when we were going up against Canada, I was like, okay, we're gonna win, and we didn't. We played so horrible, and that's the thing about a sports fan too, is that you really believe in your guys, but if they lose in a way where they haven't given their all, or they just look horrible, you're like, you feel betrayed. I feel betrayed.
That's, when I've heard of that, because the guy who will make a mistake on the soccer team in Brazil got killed. The people killed them. Yeah. Like when he was done playing his sport.
Well, that's a little extreme, yeah. I actually, with all the amount of guns in the United States, I can't believe there hasn't been some kind of insane shooting of a player yet.
Right.
I'm really amazed at it.
Right. But it's because in my opinion, I think that 1 or 2% of the population is nuts. And so,
which there's a lot of people in this country, so that's a lot of people.
What is it? 320 million? And you get 1-2% of that. And then you gotta, how nuts are you? Are you a nut that owns a gun? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's another 5%, or maybe that's 50% of your, so then you just then it gets regional, and then maybe they live in a town where their team wins.
Yeah. Luckily.
Right. One day it'll be the Brewers. Or whatever.
You know what it is? A lot of athletes, particularly black athletes, being threatened by white people. A lot of them get death threats, but there have been like Hank Aaron, when he was going to break Babe Ruth's home run record, was getting death threats constantly. So was Jackie Robinson, when first black ball player who came into the MLB, Major League Baseball. They
would yell epithets from the stands and stuff.
Well, yeah, and there would be death threats constantly to these guys.
I remember because Hank Aaron played for the Brewers, and again, it's another sporting event from my early childhood that I was forced to care about, and it was beautiful because everyone was like, I remember Hank Aaron. Like, I have a program from the last game that Hank Aaron ever played at, because my grandmother went to it. And so it was his last game. And if she got the program, she brought it for me. And my brothers used to, it was neat that he was our guy. You know, even though Milwaukee, Wisconsin, one of the most segregated cities in the country during the 70s. I think we've been outstripped by Detroit or something recently, or it used to be Orlando or Miami or something. But we were up there. Whereas we got some racism, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Milwaukee. It's a great place to raise your kids if you're white.
Right.
But where isn't? Where isn't a great place to raise your kids if you're white? If you think about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know. Maybe Liberia. But I like the idea that I've learned something about hockey because I didn't know.
Well, you know, and it's something that, you know, and I guess it's any dorkdom, you know, you have to really, it's all of this dorkdom stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's ultimately an emotional investment.
Yes.
It's all emotion and identification.
Yeah.
With these things.
And not always a lot of fact and not always.
Definitely not.
And it's usually just a celebration of something that you genuinely love. And that's why that episode.
But why do you love it is to me the interesting
It's
stuff.
the best question.
Yeah. Why do you love it? And like I try to explain hockey, like I love it because, you know, I have this need to be identified with a winner and to be identified with excellence.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also this, like I just get this adrenaline rush and I don't know what, like adrenaline rush and the competitive aspect of it. Like I always have to win. Like if I'm driving here in LA, it's like I have to get into the lane.
Right.
Or if I have, like for instance, if I can go, this is another LA traffic thing, but if I can make it from the west side to the east side really relatively easily, I feel like I won. I won that
It's
day.
a game. It's definitely a game. What I like to do when I'm on the highway in Los Angeles is I'm like, if I'm going over 30 miles an hour, that's a win. If I'm going over 30 miles an hour, look at that, I'll just watch the needle. I'll watch the needle.
But then, and I talk about this on stage in my stand-up act too, you could think you're having a great life and then you get stuck in a traffic jam, let's say on the 405 or the 101, where it's bumper to bumper and you have that vision where you can see.
It's dark enough to see the red.
But you have that vision where you can just see miles ahead and you know it's not going to move for quite some time and you can't get off. You feel like your life is worthless. And you've lost. And you've lost.
Is that when you say to yourself, I wish I had a nicer car? Because the inside
that doesn't help. I hear people say, oh, well, I don't mind the traffic. I don't mind the traffic because I have books on tape or da-da-da-da-da. I still can't stand sitting there.
Right. Well, last night I was coming back from that downtown Independent and there was some sort of terribles.
Late at night?
Late at night.
See, that gets me when there's, and this is an LA thing and me and you were talking about it on my podcast a little bit, but that gets me when there's not supposed to be traffic, when it's nowhere near the rush hour and there's still traffic. That's when you've really lost.
Yeah.
Usually it has to do with construction or accidents, right?
It was entirely construction and the Hollywood Bowl. That's what it ended up being. But it was a good 2.5 miles of standstill. Because I use the Waze app, W-A-Z-E. Have you used that ever?
Is it good?
Oh, it's real nice. Real nice. It'll take you through residential areas. W-A-Z-E. And you'll be disappointed.
Oh, you can avoid the highways?
Yeah, you can avoid because it's hooked up to live traffic.
Oh, this is great. I'm Googling. I'm not Googling.
Yeah, Google it right now. Go to the App Store right now.
I'm going right there. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue.
But I say we could talk more about hockey, but I am kind of interested in Agatha Christie because I've never read any Agatha Christie. I've never seen the program. I've seen Murder, She Wrote. I've seen Heart to Heart. These are not anything like Agatha Christie. Is what I'm told. But I understand when Heart to Heart met, it was murder. Remember when they met? It was murder.
I don't know, but Agatha Christie, I love Agatha Christie. Me and my wife just love it. You know what I love about it is, I'm not a big reader of Agatha Christie, but I have fallen in love with Poirot, the Belgian detective played by David Suchet brilliantly. Suchet, they actually did a documentary on it because he just filmed his last one. He played this character for 25 years or 28 years. Imagine playing one character for 28 years.
And it's a BBC program, the Agatha Christie program. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And didn't she only write like 6 books and then mysteriously disappear?
She didn't disappear.
No?
No.
Am I thinking of D.B. Cooper? Who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
Eddie Pepitone.
But I love the PBS versions of Miss Marple, another Agatha Christie. Poirot.
Is Poirot in Miss Marple, or what is Poirot in? What is
Poirot is his own entity.
It's called Poirot.
Yes, it's called Poirot, and
Hercule.
Yes, Hercule Poirot.
Okay.
And
I will look that up, and I will
Miss
watch
Marple,
the hell out of it.
And I'm trying to think what else she's famous for. But anyway, what I love about it is the genteelness and the production values of these shows. And it's like this murder. It's murder done amongst beautiful English countryside settings, murder, and it's always like the upper classes. I think Christie traveled in the upper classes, and there's a lot of poison involved. A lot of the murders are done with poison. There's a lot of things like she invented all the. Agatha Christie basically invented the murder mystery. So a lot of times, the killer will be like the maid, who you're like, holy shit, why is the maid? Because it turns out the maid was actually an illegitimate kid of the guy who, she's coming back to exact revenge because her mother was.
And Agatha Christie was the first one to come up with that plot, kind of?
Yeah. Agatha Christie is the one who invented all these,
the things that are standardized now.
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. And are they kind of, how they call, some of the Merchant Ivory stuff, they call it like comedy of manners, where there's a lot of drawing room kind of gatherings where people are sort of snarking at each other.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that
stuff. I love that stuff.
Yeah, and then they have murder on it, and
right then there's murder. Who doesn't like to find out who murdered somebody?
It's just so great.
Because I've talked about this, and the Rangers know that the Nicholas Blake he wrote. Nicholas Blake is Daniel Day-Lewis's dad. His name was Cecil Day-Lewis. And Daniel Day-Lewis's dad, who was his nom de plume, was Nicholas Blake, and Mike Kaplan calls Daniel Dad Lewis. He wrote a series of mysteries. I think they must have been written after Agatha Christie, because in the first one, he's furious that he's had to write this thing because he's writing it for money, and he became Daniel Day-Lewis's dad was the poet laureate of the United Kingdom from 1968 to 1975 or something like that. But he wrote these mysteries, and he had, in the middle of his first novel, this Nicholas Blake novel, he falls in love with his own Poirot. He falls in love with the Nigel Strangeways is the name of the inspector. And essentially he's like, oh, I'm a genius. This guy's awesome. And he's smarter than everybody, and he's funnier than everybody.
Well, that's what Poirot is like.
Okay.
Poirot is a very arrogant. He's arrogant, but he also has this humanity. He's not. He definitely thinks he's smarter than anybody. His
and he
famous.
Usually is, or
he usually is. Yeah, he usually. What's hilarious is one of the conventions of it is that, and there are great characters in it, but like the inspector, the police will come in. He's a private investigator who has settled in London from Belgium, and the police will come in and they never figure it out, but he does. Inspector Jepp, my little gray cells. Have you never heard that from, my little gray cells are working? I need to get the little gray cells working.
And he's talking about the gray matter in his brain? That sounds...
But yeah, so there's an arrogance, but there's also, Poirot, and he's also kind of asexual. You only see him fall in love briefly once in the many years of the show.
25 years of doing this.
Yeah, of all the Poirots, I think he was smitten once.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for him to get out of his own head. What about...
Yeah, he's a real gentleman. So you'd like this guy because he's not an asshole. Like, his arrogance is only about the fact that, I know human nature. I am Poirot. I am Hercule Poirot. Like, he talks about himself in the third person a lot,
Oh, interesting.
But he is a gentleman.
Okay.
Absolute gentleman, which is again, I think, why I'm drawn to all of it is because the world, I think, the world in the U.S., it's just, it's full of guns, it's full of rudeness, and also to me, every time I see entertainment in this country.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, everybody in this country seems to like The Walking Dead. And these are all, to me, they're abhorrently violent things. They're a celebration of violence.
Yeah, it's torture porn.
Huh?
It's torture porn.
Yeah, it's just a celebration. And movies, just these steroidal action movies.
Yeah.
To me, and that's why I'm drawn to the Christie PBS stuff, is that they're these genteel, smart,
right?
Yet funny. There's been a crime, and it's just kind of lovely and charming, and yet it still has this intrigue, and you do still see bad part of people's natures, but not done in this just overly violent.
Yeah, it's super gratuitous.
I'm still on the fence about. Me and my wife have been watching. We just finished watching the 3rd episode of Gotham. Have you been watching any of it?
We have 2 that are recorded. I saw the first one. It was very violent, and but I liked it.
I'm getting into it now.
Oh, good.
But it is very violent.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Did you ever?
No, I have no interest in that. I tried, and to me, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was awful. And I only watched, I think, 1, and it was just too many. See, here's another thing that, and Gotham is better than the Agents, but too many pretty people. Not into it. Let's do the cast. Let's actually
normal looking.
If you need to look at pretty people all the time in stuff like that, that's just disgusting.
Right.
I think, I mean, what they're doing, the producers, and they're such morons, is that they are just again playing to that demographic of, horny kids or whatever it is, or I remember hearing someone tell me that Les Moonves, who is one of the heads of CBS or NBC or whatever, said, well, I definitely, he cast somebody in some show because he's like, I'd fuck her. And it's all about, you have to get people wanting to fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like,
the fact that is actually said in meetings is like, well, I wouldn't fuck her. Why would I put her on television?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is actually said in meetings, and it is disturbing,
absolutely.
And it's just it's a road-a-hoe. It's just, there's nothing.
And if they were here, they would say, well, I'm sorry, but that's the reality to get people to watch the shows. And then you'd be like, well, fuck you.
Fuck you, because
why don't you
not true.
Why don't you make something interesting?
Yes. If you write something, there's all kinds. I mean, if you look at 30 Rock, 30 Rock had more interesting looking people on it than any other sitcom that I've seen in years. And if you look at Barney Miller, those are the weirdest looking people in the world, and they're all awesome. And so, but I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just because I'm all about Marvel, and so I loved Phil Coulson's character, and so I was like, I will sit until this gets good, and it did, and it got great. It was good for me for the first. People hated the first 6 episodes. It was a lot of.
I can't watch something for more than 1 or 2. I can't wade through 6. Before it gets better.
Right, and there was a lot of fan nonsense that I don't tend to read any of that stuff. So there's a big thing happening with video games. Gamergate, and I'm like, I'm good. They're calling it Gamergate, like it's a Watergate thing. Yeah. Just some women who had opinions got attacked virulently online, as is the want of people.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not all right. Anyway.
Also, just about dorkdom in general too. And we talked about my hockey kind of obsession, is that you gotta have some kind of perspective on this stuff.
Yeah.
You can't, like for instance, when you just said some, women are getting attacked big time about something.
Yeah, just
hold
verbally,
it. This is bullshit.
With their addresses and everything.
This is fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
This is diversion. And also another thing that I think, there's a book that was written even before the internet, and it's by Neil Postman, and it's called Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Okay.
And it's basically fiddling while Rome burns, and it's also Amusing Ourselves to Death is just talking about how we've been dumbed down. When we went from a print culture to a visual culture, in other words, when we went from books and newspapers, and real good newspapers when they were good, not now like USA Today, but when we went from being readers and bookish people and newspapers to a visual society, subtlety disappeared and thinking basically has disappeared. So, people, for instance, just to give you a for instance, the Lincoln-Douglas debates, right?
Yeah.
The presidential debates
Right.
used to be, check this out. Now, this is hilarious because I was just reading this. They used to
1858.
speak
Yes.
for 6 hours and then the next guy would rebut.
Right.
Everything's a soundbite today. There's
Right.
just more. There is, and the way you vote for people now is who looks good. There's no discussion of issues now.
Did you ever see that James Garner, Eddie Murphy movie about, James Garner was a senator it's a terrible movie. It's an Eddie Murphy movie. It was a terrible, terrible movie.
Yeah.
And, but James Garner plays a senator who dies, in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And Eddie Murphy is a young politician who has the same name.
So he
then-
becomes a senator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
What
on
about?
just on name
Oh,
recognition.
it's name recognition. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's no more subtleties gone from the culture. There's no depth. There's no depth to the culture anymore. Is
That's
the
a
point.
little sweeping, but okay. I don't think that's true. I think that Poirot is still out there. There's beautiful things being made. There's a lot of great television being made, and there's a lot of
Like
great.
what? Great television. Tell me, because I'm looking for it. I don't see it.
You
A
don't like
lot of
Sherlock?
great television.
You don't like Sherlock,
I like Sherlock,
right? I mean,
but a lot of great television. You said I would say there's very little great television and a lot of shit. But what's
But
a
there's
lot?
always been a lot of. I mean, proportionally, there's always going to be more shit. Even in like in books. There's always going to be more shit.
Yeah,
than there's
you're
gonna
right,
be great.
you're right.
It's just hard for me. It's just hard with the sweeping, just because I like to think of things are not necessarily getting better, but there is still quality out there.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I'm with you entirely in the fact that I can't, like, Law and Order SVU offends me on a visceral level.
No, why does it offend you on a visceral
Because
level?
do you know what it is? Law and Order Special Victims Unit. It's entirely child molestation and rape.
Yes, and that's unbelievable because, this whole genre of police procedurals is also morbid.
I'm also trying to figure out what they're trying to train me for because all the bodies now look real.
Now, it sounds like you watch this stuff.
I have watched some, like, I'll watch the crap. Like, I'll watch Castle. I'll watch Bones.
I could not watch
I'll
Castle.
watch NCIS.
Oh, wow,
And
you've watched all that
those
stuff.
are all cartoons. They're all essentially Scooby-Doo done with murder, right?
Right, now, to me, it's so morbid, those shows, because there's the difference between Agatha Christie, to bring it back to like why I like Agatha Christie, and these NCIS things, is that,
It's murder, but it's murder. It's different the way they deal with it, right?
It's gratuitous murder on these NCIS. It's this horrible, depressing murder on these horrible shows. There's never any. Here's what I really hate, and tell me if I'm wrong because I don't watch these shows. I've watched a couple of Law and Orders, but there's never any social context to them, meaning they never address why are these murders happening?
Right.
Why
Agatha
is there
Christie
such
does.
intense poverty in the United States that's leading to all these?
Right.
No, there's
an opportunity.
There's stupidity.
There's an opportunity here. There's a genuine socio-political opportunity.
You called it before torture porn.
Yeah.
It's basically torture porn.
Right. But I think that you're right in the fact that there's a genuine opportunity here. Like in the Agatha Christie ones, someone has poisoned someone and it's because there was an injustice. There was a real reason. It wasn't some bullshit money reason. It wasn't just, I just needed to.
Oh no. There's a lot of it for money.
Oh, it's just.
It is a lot of it for money. A lot of it is like, they wanted to, no, there's definitely some mean, it isn't all like justified murder. It's a lot of it is like people who want a better life. Like what she does is really lampoon the entitled rich who want more money or who want to inherit daddy's estate.
Okay.
There's a lot of that.
Okay.
But the difference is that there's never like hardly ever these horrible bloody scenes and just this, to me, all these American procedurals, which I just call them procedurals, you know?
Yeah.
They're all just, the child was raped in the basement of
and then too much information.
And it's like, I don't want to watch that.
I don't want to know all the
And
information.
not only is there that, but then they have the true crime stuff. Then they have the fictional stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have all the people who are, and I went through a period of being hooked on forensic files.
Oh, yeah?
And, well, because it's titillating
You get
and like.
sucked in? I
got sucked into that stuff, and then I realized this is horrible.
Yeah,
I don't need to be watching.
It would make me so depressed. I would be scared all the time of every stranger who walked up because I was like, well, what if that's the Zodiac Killer? I didn't even know who the Zodiac Killer was.
It just shows you just the disgusting.
A disgusting side of some humans.
Yeah.
That quite honestly.
Yeah.
I'm willing to live a little defensively, but I'm unwilling to live like they're everywhere.
And also, like, for instance, we talked about on my podcast just very briefly,
Pep Talks.
About the Roosevelt documentary.
Oh, right.
And that's really interesting because you really get a sense of the history of the country. These forensic files shows or true crime shows, they're just little snapshots of disgusting behavior.
Disgusting behavior with no context.
They never address, right. No context. You know, what's the education level? what's the community like?
Right. Who are the victims?
You know,
who are the perpetrators?
Who are the companies who've left this? Here's where I get mad because I've got it so against people with money. Like, who are the companies that have left this community?
Oh, and leaving them without jobs and lives and things to do.
Right.
And, well, you know what Ayn Rand would say? She'd say, my name is Ayn Rand or whatever. But I don't, but some fuck shop would be
Rand
like,
is a
nightmare.
Yeah.
We will not be having an Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand, you know who a descendant of Ayn Rand was Alan Greenspan, who was basically the architect of the financial collapse in this country.
I don't have enough. I remember my brother Scott loving Greenspan. Like the sun came out of his ass.
Right. Well, he's disappeared because, you know, he basically presided over all the deregulation that, which led to the widespread speculation, which is all this Ayn Rand stuff about, just
laissez-faire. Everybody's just going to rise to the occasion.
Here's the thing. It's socialism for the rich and it's capitalism for the poor.
Yeah.
In other words, the rich get, taken care of. If they ever fuck up, they get bailed out. If poor people have a problem, hey, it's the market. Yeah. And you better pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to get so political.
No, because that's, that too is a bit of your dorkdom, is the social injustice part of it.
Absolutely.
And it would be, the thing is I always think of television and all entertainment as an opportunity to really give a big picture. Like whenever I see a film and I watch some crap, Eddie Pepitone, I'm out there. I want to go see a romantic comedy. And what I do though is there's always a B plot for me. There's always something underneath it. I don't know if you saw Sex and the City 2.
Oh no, my God.
Good choice. One of the worst.
My God, I couldn't see.
Did you know if they're making a 3, which should never have happened?
Now to me, that's all you need to know about the dumbing down of our culture. That there's a Sex of the City 3 coming out. No, I'm being dead serious. If this was a literate culture, a real literate culture, that would not be happening.
That's being made at the highest levels.
What do you mean highest level?
The decision is being made because it didn't make any money. It actually, on the lowest levels, which is middle-aged white ladies who want to see some sort of Sex in the City bullshit, we hated it in droves and didn't go see it and didn't buy it. And even internationally it sucked. It was one of but there's always a B plot. Like, when you think of, Dirty Dancing, and I'm sure you do. You think about it all the time. Absolutely. Is that and Rangers know this. I've talked about this for years. But Dirty Dancing, the B plot is amazing. It's keep abortion legal. That's the message of Dirty Dancing, because that character gets pregnant,
right,
and she gets an abortion in the back of a truck.
Jesus.
Okay,
yeah.
Footloose. The B plot of Footloose is censorship is bad.
Right.
And they show the burning book scene, and and John Lithgow picks up one of the books. He's like, "This is Tom Sawyer, you weirdo." And he's a conservative preacher in that movie, and so those are opportunities that they took advantage of.
Right.
But then you see like 2 weeks notice or music and lyrics, and the B plot of both of those is eating disorders are prevalent. That is the that's the B plot of both of those.
Yeah.
But I do think, because Poirot, I think all of those BBC programs, they come from not a kindler, gentler place, but just a place that feels, and I don't want to say civilized, because you don't.
Oh, they have a lot of nasty stuff too. I mean, in the BBC lexicon, they have a lot of gritty cop shows.
Or that MI6 or
all
something.
All that stuff, It was a great. Did you ever watch a great show though? I love this great show, Life on Mars.
Oh my God, I tried to. Too dark.
The BBC?
Yeah, the BBC one. It was amazing. About the guy in the coma who goes back.
Yeah.
Goes back to the 70s in his head. If it's in his head, he might have actually
I thought it was such an interesting thing.
It was incredibly well done.
Yeah, I loved it. And the soundtrack was great 70s music and it just intense acting. And one of the cops, Gene Hunt, the boss of his 70s reality, was such an old school cop, and I just loved him.
Oh, right.
And I think their violence, it isn't as brutal as the American, like just in your face, like the Gotham. We were talking about it briefly.
Yeah,
I've kind of liked. It's kind of growing on me. But when the first episode, when Penguin slashes this guy in the face when he comes out of the water, absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Not only do they show him slashing the face, but then you see the blood from the face. Now that to me is just playing to just a dumb population.
Right. They're
and the people who make that decision, who make these things
from up high,
are scumbags. Because they're the tastemakers, quote unquote. That really you have to show the blood flying from the guy's face. What is their argument for that?
I don't know what they're preparing me for. Am I supposed to be ready to see blood on the streets? Am I supposed to be ready to see dead bodies?
It's just like you don't, and that's why the Christie stuff is so much better.
That's awesome. It's we are doing great here. Eddie, let's talk about you for a second. Eddie Pepitone. It's eddiepepitone.com, and it's at Eddie Pepitone. And Pep Talks on Twitter. And Pep Talks on allthingscomedy.com.
And In Ruins on Netflix is my special.
And In Ruins is the Netflix special. So it's I've always been a fan. Always been a fan from back even in the New York days. Very funny comic. If people get a chance to see you.
Oh, thank you.
Acme this week. Do it. And then we only have a couple of minutes left, but we'll touch on we'll close on the happy thing. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh my God. Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide, blew my mind when I read that. Now, I've never been a big science fiction guy. I've liked some science fiction, but I always felt this, and I don't know where you stand on this, I always felt like science fiction lacked a sense of humor. I
got some great, When Gravity Fails. Is my current, and it's essentially set in a red light district of, it's a dark comedy.
I love dark stuff. I love dark comedies.
Well, and the weird thing is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is funny, but it's funny that you would think that it was, and it is comedy, but it's so silly. It's super, and I was psyched I read it when I still appreciated sarcasm.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a window, if you miss it with Hitchhikers, you may not be able to go back.
Why is that?
Because the humor is pretty basic. It's a celebration of silly sarcasm. Did you read Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and
my wife loves Terry Pratchett. I've never read Terry Pratchett.
Well, it took me about 6 of the Discworld books to get me to like Terry Pratchett. But I stuck it out. I kept going. And then I've read about 14 or 15. He's written, I don't know, 70? Anyway, but Neil Gaiman, right? Who, Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett wrote a book called Good Omens.
Right.
And it is, Neil Gaiman, he wrote you would love American Gods, I think. And that is, it's funny, but it's also, I think it's so socially, really, it's smart.
Right.
And Terry Pratchett, his stuff is socially relevant.
Right.
But it's super silly. And, the Good Omens, it's about it's about the angel who guarded the Garden of Eden, and the devil. The Antichrist is being born, and they have to join forces to stop the rapture, because they're both they like Earth better than they like heaven or hell.
Yeah.
Because they've been living here the whole time, and they're like, oh, what about pizza or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, they're just like there. And so the silliness of Pratchett comes in.
Yeah.
And the dark, just fierce sort of intelligence of Neil Gaiman comes
Yeah.
in. And they meld really well together. They're thinking about making a movie about it. I don't know how they would do that, but you might like Good Omens.
Yeah.
But Hitchhikers,
Oh,
when did you read it?
Oh man, I can't even remember when I read it. I think it must have been something like 10 or 15 years ago even.
Okay.
And it just blew my mind as far as
Have you
comedy.
heard of it before?
No, I don't think I did. I don't know how I heard of it. You know, people.
That I think would help. If there were no build up to it and you were just like, what is this? And you read it and you were like, this is amazing.
But for me, it was like, I've been a comedian my whole life. I've thought comedically my whole life, like, okay, what's funny? You know, and as a comedian, you're always like looking at the world like, okay, what's funny about this? What's funny about this? So I can put it on stage, you know, and all that. And what blew my mind about Hitchhikers is I had never thought comedically on a cosmic level like that. And it just
talk about the big picture, man.
It's just like the restaurant at the end of the universe, like the concept, like combining those concepts that there's this restaurant at the end of time where, and every night at the hour of midnight is the end of the world, universe. Like it's just fucking brilliant. And then like there was a robot who was the depressed robot always stayed with me. My mom was clinically depressed. So that was always a heavy thing in my life.
Yeah.
And reading about this robot who, was depressed because I have the biggest brain in the world, in the universe, and I have to park cars. Remember Marvin, the depressed robot?
The depressed robot.
And
did you get to see the film?
I thought the film. You see, I was so bummed out by the film because I was such a fan of the book.
Well, it's really hard. The translation is so hard.
I just was like, it didn't do it for me.
Right.
I had such high, because the book was so amazing. I did the film. You liked it though. That's interesting. Maybe I should watch it again. I remember just going, no.
Yeah, you
not funny.
You give it another shot. But here's where it kind of fell apart for me. I like the first three. The last three of his trilogy.
Oh, I know.
I weeded off.
Yeah,
but I will say this about
too.
Douglas Adams. He has a nonfiction book.
What's it called?
Last Chance to See.
Right.
And what he does is he goes around the world and essentially finds endangered species and makes fun of them. But in a way that educates and enlightens.
Oh, that's great.
He's like, see that bird?
He died tragically young.
He did. He died pretty young. He did, and he just died. I heard him speak one time. Brought my nephew to hear him read from Last Chance to See, actually, in Minneapolis at a bookstore in St. Paul.
Oh, wow.
So that isn't there anymore. Oh, well.
Did you meet him? Did you talk to him?
No. Paul crawled up and he got to see a peek at him, but the bookstore packed to the gills. You couldn't even see him. So we didn't get to hear him. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
But it's a great series. And he had Dirk Gently too. Which was
the detective.
The detective one. Yeah, the first two of those I liked, I think. And then, I get this impression sometimes with publishers that they're like, no, you should write another one of those. When you're like, no, I'm done.
It's sort of like blockbuster movies. Okay, let's do Expendables 6.
Yeah, there's no reason for Red 3. Yeah. Even though Red 2 is actually quite fun. I liked Red and Red 2. I'm a simple woman of the people. I think it's been established. Yeah. Eddie Pepitone, it has been an hour.
Thank you, Jack. That went by breezy.
Yeah, nice.
Both our podcasts went by breezy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Quick. It's Pep Talks on all things comedy, Dork Forest on all things comedy, dorkforest.com, JackieCation.com. Rangers, you've chosen wisely. Be nice to each other out there. Take care.
My hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?